Hello and welcome to part two of the Colts Corner Art Day special, simulcasting on Apple Podcasts and on our YouTube. I'm Douglas Lattuca with Benjamin Dickson, Brian Flattau, and Constantine. We're here at Art Day, showing you guys a little sneak peek of what we do here with Hills West Media, with West TV, and with West Radio. If you guys are interested in creating your own podcasts, doing your own broadcasts, join the newspaper club. We're open to newcomers using the broadcast studio and talking anything you want. You could talk A&E, you could talk food, you can talk travel, you could talk really whatever you want. More sports, but we want more people involved. So join the newspaper club and the class that you guys are in as well.
Yeah, Michael and I are in the film and video class run by Mr. Doxey. It's also a good platform to get out there, make your opinion heard, and yeah, it's just good stuff.
Yeah, another class, journalism. Mr. Schutte, looking right at me. That class, the attendance is going down, should be going up. That's a great class. Recommend everyone here takes it. Just a great time.
Yeah, we need more people in journalism. Get yourself on the newspaper club and join the journalism elective. Easy to get all your work done in there, and it's a way to build your resume in the newspaper club, and it's good. It's good for yourself if you want to get into that career path. So let's jump right into the sports. Part one, we spoke Super Bowl, we spoke the NHL, then the Pro Bowl. So let's move into college basketball. A lot to talk about here. A couple upsets that happened, shaking up that top 25 positioning, especially with Duke. But what are your takes from the first couple months of college basketball?
I mean, I'm just enjoying it. Obviously not the most covered sport nationally, but it's my favorite one to watch. And you look at Duke, they're number 2 right now, and you can't really talk college basketball without talking about Zion Williamson. I mean, this guy's just a tank. He's going to be a lock to go number 1 in the draft. I know some people are saying R.J. Barrett or John Morant from Murray State. We'll talk about him in a little bit. But Zion Williamson, he's the man. Great athlete, just sick basketball player. I mean, if you haven't watched this film, you gotta start watching Duke basketball. They're on ESPN almost every time they play. But he's been sensational. Led him to a huge win at Notre Dame last night. I mean, he's just unreal. And he's a lock to go number 1 in the draft, barring something crazy that happens.
Yeah, early in the year, people were talking about R.J. Barrett, Zion Williamson, which one's better. I don't think there's much of a debate anymore. R.J. Barrett is an incredible player. He'll probably go 2 in the draft, but Zion Williamson is a generational talent. A guy like we've never seen anything like this guy before. It's ridiculous. We're witnessing history, and it's just so fun to watch a guy like Zion Williamson out there.
Yeah, there's no arguing that Zion Williamson is definitely a special player, and so is the entire Duke starting lineup right now. They're deadly. They'll hit you everywhere, and I'm really excited to see them in the tournament this year.
Yeah, so Duke sits at number 2 in the top 25 behind Tennessee, who has emerged as a legit team in college basketball, raising their credibility. They haven't really been in that top 25 or towards the top of that poll in a few years, and it's nice for them to emerge as a team that's going to compete for a national championship.
Yeah, they're definitely legit. I wouldn't say they're the best team in the country, but definitely a top 5 kind of team. Grant Williams, reigning SEC Player of the Year, definitely a National Player of the Year type of guy. You got Rick Barnes, head coach. He's been doing a great job with Tennessee. The guard, Admiral Schofield, one of the best names in the country. They're just rock solid, a ton of experience, led by Grant Williams. They're going to make a run in March. Definitely don't doubt that.
Yeah, it's obviously a great program. You know, that's where Tobias Harris is from. You know, he went to college there. Obviously, we all know him as the best basketball player to ever graduate Hills West. But yeah, that's where he was, and to get a kind of talent like that, you obviously have to have a great program. They did have a few down years, but last year they were a 3 seed in the tournament. They were really coming along last year, and this year they put it all together, the top team in the country. I agree with you, Ben. I think that there are a few teams that are actually better than them, but they're definitely deserving of that number 1 ranking at this point in the season.
Yeah, so we spoke about March Madness coming up in about a month, and I usually don't do this, but I'm thinking about taking off Thursday, Friday, first 2 days of March Madness.
I'll see you there.
Sit on your couch, some wings, some snacks, a little bit of pizza. Enjoy the show. I'm not a huge college basketball guy, as you guys have come to know over my few years here on the podcast and everything we do here, but I'm going to join the wave, hang out with my friend Ben, watch a little college basketball. Now that I'm officially into college, I'm rooting for Syracuse, so...
Big win for you guys the other week, and on the rise. You know they'll get in as like a 10 or 11 seed, somehow make the Sweet 16 at least. But we're talking about all these teams, Duke, Tennessee. I think the best team in the country in my eyes, although Duke beat them a couple weeks ago, Virginia. I mean, they play that pack line defense. Obviously don't have the big names, the Kyle Guy, Todd Jerome in that backcourt. They're doing a great job. But I do think Virginia is better than Duke. I do think they'll pick them off in Charlottesville in a couple weeks. But Virginia and Duke, those are definitely the two best teams in the country, in my opinion, however you want to put them. But I just think Virginia's defense and experience just puts them over the top against Duke. I don't know. I mean, Duke beat them, but we'll see what happens.
I agree, though. I think that Virginia is the best team in the country at this point in the season. I don't know how long that's going to end up lasting. We know that they're a great regular season team. They always have been, at least for the past 7 or so years. But it seems as if they fall apart in the tournament every season, and I'm hoping it's not the case. My brother's at Virginia right now. I'm a fan. I want to see them succeed, but I don't know if it's in their cards because they seem to struggle in the tournament, and those struggles are real. Last year, the 16-1 upset against UMBC, that's embarrassing, and that can't happen again. But I'm not saying it's definitely not gonna because they've done it in the past. So they're obviously a great regular season team, but let's see if they can keep it together in March.
Yeah, a team that you see a lot in March Madness make a little bit of noise, Gonzaga, obviously in a lower division. Not the SEC, not the ACC.
West Coast Conference?
Yeah, well, the West Coast Conference. They're first there. They've won 10 in a row. What are your thoughts on Gonzaga obviously not playing the competition that a Duke or a North Carolina team is playing with the ACC? What are your thoughts on them? Can they make some noise in the tournament?
Oh, 100%. They're definitely legit. Rui Hachimura, one of the best players in the country, on Gonzaga. They did beat Duke in Maui back in November. They played a tough schedule. They lost to Tennessee. But sitting at 19-2 would be a shock if they really lost again going into the tournament. They didn't have a tough non-conference schedule, but their experience, obviously led by Hachimura, the guy I just said, and they're ready to make some noise come March. Definitely a Final Four, national championship contender type of team.
Yep. Another thing to bring up about Gonzaga, despite the various speed bumps that they may encounter throughout their entire season, they still have one of the most dominant college basketball programs. Like you said, they beat Duke earlier in the year, and I really think they have like this huge shot right now. Never count them out right now.
Yeah, I mean, beating Duke is one of the 2 best wins in the year that you'll get this season. Syracuse has probably the best win because it was at Duke, but then the other one is Gonzaga. They're the only other team to beat. They're the most talented team in the country. So Gonzaga is legit, and I think that they'll show it in March.
Yeah, so now we'll move to the Big Ten. A couple teams there. Michigan, a one-loss team, only loss coming in conference to Wisconsin. So Michigan's usually in that top 25 ranking, usually makes a little bit of noise in March. But they haven't really gotten to the final dance recently, not down to the Elite Eight. They did win the championship last year. They were in the championship last year. Okay, so they do make a little bit of noise in March. So what are your thoughts on their team this year?
I mean, they're definitely dominant for sure. Iggy Brazdeikis, Charles Matthews, ton of talent over there in Michigan. John Beilein, one of the great coaches in college basketball, very underappreciated. But for me, if you're looking at the best team in the Big Ten, you're looking at the Michigan State Spartans. Tom Izzo's done a great job with them. Cassius Winston, probably going to win Big Ten Player of the Year and top 3 for National Player of the Year right now. Last week, brutal stretch. Short-handed also. They're missing a couple guys. Joshua Langford, one of their guards. They kill Maryland in East Lansing. That one hurt a little bit. They go into Iowa, 19th ranked Iowa. That killed them. And they go into Purdue. We're getting killed that whole game. Made a nice little comeback in the end. Fell a little short. But to go 2-1 during that stretch is very impressive. And I think they're the best team in the Big Ten. Them and Michigan. Outside the state of Michigan, that conference is a mess. But Michigan State and Michigan, definitely 2 great teams.
Yeah, as I said, I don't know much about college basketball. Trying to get on the grind. Learn from Ben. So clearly, that was a little hiccup by me. They were the runners-up of March Madness last year. So they've got some talent. They did make that magical run last year. So let's
one
see
player
if they can
that I
make
want
some
to
noise
point
this
out,
year.
from the Big Ten, Cassius Winston, point guard for the Michigan State Spartans. I think he's the best point guard in college basketball. I loved him for years. He's got a crazy handle. He's developing a great jump shot. He's an elite defender. I think he's going to be great at the next level too.
Yeah, another team that's usually at the top, in top 5, Kentucky. They have 3 losses this year. They're 3rd in the SEC. With that team, usually the freshmen come in for 1 year, leave for the draft. Do you think that the team is maturing as the year goes on? Do you think they'll be fine in March?
100%. I mean, they got throttled by Duke on opening night, fell all the way down to 19 in the AP rankings. They're back up to 7. Huge win against Kansas this past weekend. And you look at that team, the young guys really growing up. And it's really experience that's leading the way for him. Reed Travis, he's 23 years old, I think. He was a transfer from Stanford. He's a double-double type of guy every night. He's been dominating for Kentucky. And you look at young guys, Ashton Higgins, P.J. Washington, Keldon Johnson, really stepping up for the Wildcats. And they're 100%, in my opinion right now, top 2 team in the SEC alongside Tennessee, and definitely a Final Four contender.
Yeah, definitely a team to look out for in March. Kentucky's always one of the most relevant programs in college basketball. Suffered a tough loss in the opener this year against Duke. Lost again early in the season, non-conference play, but then coming off this big win against Kansas, I think that they'll be all right. I think that they'll be good going to the madness.
Yeah, another team that doesn't get a lot of the hype, Buffalo, in the MAC East Conference. They're first there. They only have 2 losses this year. They're ranked number 14, a team that you don't usually see really doing anything too special in college basketball. Has really developed a nice program here. What do you think their chances are of making a little bit of a run?
They're definitely there for sure. Last year in the tournament when they pounded Arizona and DeAndre Ayton, that wasn't a fluke. They're a legit team with wins at West Virginia. Obviously not great this year, but coming off an upset win against Kansas. At Syracuse, a big win. Close loss at Marquette. By the way, Marcus Howard on Marquette, maybe the best scorer in the country. He's unreal. Check him out if you haven't seen him. And getting picked off by Northern Illinois last week, 2-point loss. 18-2. That MAC's a tough conference. And Buffalo, definitely a good team. Could make a run in March.
Your favorite school? Maryland? Maybe becoming an attendee next year. Have some decisions to make, but I know it's been your team through your childhood. Ranked at number, where are we?
21 right now.
Pretty solid. It's been an up and down season, but they're always in the conversation.
Yeah, tough week. I mean, 3rd youngest team in college basketball. Starts 7-1 in Big Ten play. Big wins over Indiana, Nebraska, Minnesota, Ohio State. A few of those coming on the road. But tough stretch, 2-game skid, getting killed at Michigan State. And then I was at the Garden this past weekend, lost to a really bad Illinois team. No excuses for that one. We got Northwestern tonight. Hopefully we get back on track. But
yeah, Maryland with some lottery pick potential. Can you tell us about some of those guys on that Maryland roster?
Oh, yeah, Bruno Fernando, the big man for the Terps. Guy's electric. On the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year watch list. Great shot blocker, sick dunker. His skills have just improved, passing out of double team, stuff like that. He should be a lottery pick in my mind. If not, he'll definitely be a first-rounder. And you look at a guy like Jalen Smith, too. He was a 5-star McDonald's All-American. Don't know if he's ready yet, but he'll get there. Still got to build a little muscle on that lower body.
Yeah, I saw Herter, ex-Terp, last night in the NBA.
Doing well for the Hawks.
Yeah, doing
Leading
well.
all rookies in three-point percentage, I'm pretty sure.
Impressive.
Yeah, so we talk about Maryland in the NBA. Just a little NBA action right now. It's still in the headlines a bit in this Super Bowl week, and we're seeing all anyone was talking about yesterday was Anthony Davis. I mean, the guy requested a trade. He's a top 5 player in the NBA, and with this, it's going to change the landscape of the NBA for sure. And I just want to get your guys' thoughts on that.
I mean, if you're the Lakers, you can't not go after Anthony Davis. You missed your opportunity with Paul George. The guy was on your fingertips. He said he wanted to be a Laker when he was in Indiana. Got traded to OKC, ended up enjoying his time there, playing with Russell Westbrook, and he's there for the long term now. You can't blow this one. You got, 9 days to trade for Anthony Davis, and I know they're asking for a hefty price. I saw Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, Zubac, and a first-rounder. But if you pair AD and LeBron, like Stephen A. Smith said yesterday on First Take, you're going to beat 90-95% of the league. Like, you got to go out and get him. It'd be a brutal mistake because your odds to get Anthony Davis, if the trade deadline passes, they're just going to go down, and he'll end up signing with a team like the Celtics in free agency, or possibly even the Knicks. I know there's rumors about that. But if you're the Lakers, you got to go get him, pair him with LeBron, and just become an absolute powerhouse in the West.
Yeah, and as we saw in the NBA, LeBron can do it. LeBron can carry a team to the NBA Finals. He did have Kyrie when he beat Golden State, but if you put one more superstar with LeBron, he can get it done. Not saying that he could carry the Cavs last year, because that was almost impossible for any player to do. I mean, the Cavaliers were one of the worst teams in the league overall last year, talent-wise. LeBron pretty much carried them on their back last year. So if you get AD in there, although you're losing most likely Kuzma, Ball, and Zubac emerging as a solid piece in the center, at the center position, as Keish says no, he's not loving the trade. And that first rounder, which would be at the end of that first round, most likely. But it's a big package to give up, but Anthony Davis is a perennial all-star, legitimate player, and really puts them above and beyond.
Yeah, right now, we obviously know that LeBron can carry a subpar team to the NBA Finals, but with a Warriors team like this in a Western Conference that has just so much talent right now, he's definitely going to need the extra help. And if the Lakers really want to go that extra mile in the playoffs, if they really want that superstar right now, they have to consider trading guys like Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart. Right now, I wouldn't consider trading Kuzma, but if it has to come to that, then I would trade him.
Yeah, Anthony Davis is a top 5 player in the league, and a lot of guys are going after him. We got the Lakers, and the other one you got to point out, we live here in New York, the New York Knicks. You know, they're supposedly going to make a push for him. I would love it as a Knicks fan. I mean, I would love getting all-stars, bring the Knicks back. You know, let's get an actual good basketball team over here in New York. Other than the Nets, who've been playing well.
The Nets are an actual basketball team,
but the Knicks are a New York team.
But what's your package? What's your package?
That's the thing. That's the question.
Who are you giving away?
I got something.
Right now, it's nothing, but potentially it's Zion Williamson because the Knicks basically have him right now.
Well, no,
but the problem
Brian,
is if you were to get Anthony Davis, you might not still have that first overall pick, which is why the most likely situation for the Knicks to end up getting AD would probably be at the end of the season. So if he's not traded by the trade deadline, then his chances would go up because they would not wait. Right now, the Knicks don't exactly. I don't think they have the talent combined unless they were to trade Kristaps Porzingis to get Anthony Davis. So it's a complicated situation there with the Knicks.
I don't see that happening. Kristaps Porzingis, I think they want to keep him around for now. Right now, they got a lot of young point guards, Trey Burke, Emmanuel Mudiay, and Frank Ntilikina. They got to look to trade one of them, maybe give Trier a bigger role in the offense, and maybe Kevin Knox too. Because right now, with Kristaps Porzingis, they keep Kevin Knox. They really don't have a chance to get Anthony Davis and keep putting him in the lineup while simultaneously developing Knox.
So let's ask a Laker fan
A resident
himself.
Laker fan here.
You guys must know him if you listen to our podcasts. Yes. I see a couple hands in the back. Keyshav Kana, he's been an avid supporter of what we do here. Lakers fan, what are your thoughts on
Keisha,
a potential Anthony Davis acquisition?
I think you got to get him if you got to get him. I think he's a must sign, must trade. But I don't trade Kuzma. Kuzma's a keep. You got.
So then, who are the other players that you'd look to give away in a package?
Clear house. Anybody but Kuzma or LeBron. Give up Ball, give up Hart, give up KCP, even Ingram. Got to keep Kuzma. Kuzma's number one.
So the Laker fan has spoken. AD to the Lakers, a real possibility, something that could be happening for the Lakers as they've got a shot.
So that's a Laker fan. We actually have a huge Knicks fan right here in the audience. Troy, come on, man.
Troy,
come on, man.
Troy,
let's
come
have
on.
a
I know you want to talk about it.
Let's have a Knicks fan.
Let's go, man.
Troy, you're the Knicks. You want Anthony Davis, and what do you give up for him?
I do not want Anthony Davis right now. I feel like we're still in the rebuild process. We're one game behind first worst record, so I'm going to continue to tank. You know, Knicks tank season, believe it, Zion next year.
So
I kind of agree with him, by the way.
I totally agree with him. I think that first overall pick is so valuable. Zion Williamson could be a top 5 player in the league if he develops into an absolute monster, which he's projecting to be.
Look, I think trading for Anthony Davis for the Knicks right now is a bit of a risk because if you get Anthony Davis, you're making kind of an investment because the guy is young. He's 25 years old. He's obviously a stud, and he's going to bring in some other guys, hopefully. So that's a chance you're willing to take. You bring in Anthony Davis, you're hoping that him combined with the New York market, it's going to bring in guys like Kyrie Irving this free agency or Kevin Durant or things like that, which is the only hope there. In that case, you give up Zion, it's fine because you have Anthony Davis and Kevin Durant in that situation. So if you can make that happen, then it's worth it. But that is a big question mark.
But if you think about it, the Lakers would be giving up a late first-round pick, whereas the New York Knicks could potentially be giving up the first or second overall pick in the NBA draft, which is either Zion Williamson or Barrett, both players out of Duke, as we spoke about before. Those are 2 legitimate franchise cornerstones right there if you're able to get them on your roster and plug them right into your lineup. But as you said, Anthony Davis, if they could attract Kevin Durant into it, There you go. There's your 1-2 punch. And you're willing to part with some other guys. But I think the Lakers, if they were going to have to make a trade, they'd have to give up a little bit more than the Knicks just because the draft pick.
And that's it's his preferred destination also. Who would, guy wants to play with LeBron. They're going to have leverage there, especially since LeBron's been out the past few weeks. They know who they want. So
Now, this could be me just talking like a regular Knicks fan, getting my hopes up way too much. But I think that they could possibly attract guys like Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant without having to trade for Anthony Davis. Right now, I'm sure both those guys want to be the number one option. They want to be the superstar. In a big market like New York, they'd definitely want to be that first number one guy. So I think the potential of Anthony Davis coming would kind of make them shy away a bit, because now Anthony Davis obviously scores 25 points a game. That's like a lot right now. I don't know exactly.
Probably more than that.
Probably a little more than that.
80
I
is
think
a
he's a
monster.
stud.
Yeah, and gets a lot of rebounds, obviously. I think they'd get scared of that, believe that they won't be the number one guy. And with a young guy like Zion, they'd appreciate that chance and definitely see themselves as being over him in that
he's
perspective.
averaging
The problem with that-
29.3 points per game, 13.3 rebounds, and he's shooting over 50% from the field.
I think the problem with what you just said there is not that wouldn't be ideal, because I think it would. I think that's perfect. You have Porzingis, you have Zion, you have Kyrie or Durant. I think that would be amazing. But the problem is that these guys don't get attracted to this market. We've been saying it for years. We said it with LeBron. We said it with Durant. It just doesn't end up happening. The guys don't end up coming to the Knicks. We've been wanting it to happen for years. It hasn't actually come through. And I'm starting to lose faith, honestly, in the fact that the New York market is all that attractive.
Well, this is the thing. People love playing at Madison Square Garden, and I believe that the attraction's still there, but there's just no talent.
And James Dolan, too.
Yeah, well, James Dolan is a real cancer. He's a real issue with the Rangers and the Knicks. He's the problem. He needs to be removed, but you can't remove the guy. He owns the team, and he owns MSG, so he's not going anywhere unless he decides to sell the team. But if the Knicks are able to get Zion Williamson in there, I think that really attracts some big star free agents. Kevin Durant has an opportunity to come there, Kyrie Irving. Then you're looking at a big three right there, and you're in contention with Kevin Knox off the bench. Obviously, you're looking to trade probably Candor this year with Courtney Lee and Tim Hardaway. So those three guys probably out of the equation for next season. But a lot of young talent. I don't know if you have to press the panic button and go out for Anthony Davis to get your superstar when you have one in the draft that's coming this year. The only problem with that is that you're banking on yourself getting the first overall pick in the lottery, which sometimes doesn't come to fruition. So it's a risk and reward thing here for the Knicks. I think Anthony Davis is the wrong move for them, and I think the Lakers should go right after AD and put him on the roster.
Just one other potential landing spot for Anthony Davis that I want to discuss, the Boston Celtics. It can't happen right now because of the Rose Rule or whatever it is, that you can't have two guys with certain contracts that Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving have, but it can happen after the season. And I was listening to ESPN Radio this morning, and they were talking about Adrian Wojnarowski was on, and he said that it's unlikely that Anthony Davis is going to be traded before the trade deadline. Now, I don't know the truth behind that. It's still early. We still have a little over a week before the trade deadline. But if that's the case, I think if it went down to the end of the season and the Lakers didn't get him right now, I think that the Celtics would be the ones to get him later all the way in July, after the NBA draft, when they're eligible to get him, because they've been stockpiling draft picks and talent for years now to try and get Anthony Davis. They've been trying to make attempts for it for years. Danny Ainge has had this genius plan to try and get him, and I think now is their time to finally go out and get their guy. So if they could actually go and get it done, it would have to happen after this year's trade deadline. So if he's not moved by the trade deadline, I would think that Boston is the top landing spot for Anthony Davis.
Yeah, Woj is a very credible source, unlike Dan Clark, who made Yankee fans very upset.
Made me very upset.
And
I mean,
it's still a possibility.
I don't know how these guys haven't signed yet.
He said something in December. Manny Machado's unsigned. We're about 2 weeks away from pitchers and catchers. So come on, it's still a possibility, but you're just taking your shot.
We got to get Mike on here.
You're looking for a needle in a haystack with that. But we'll get into the MLB whip around in a little bit. But Constantine had something.
Yeah, but I need to add something about the Anthony Davis situation going to the Celtics. I really think that a team's going to trade for him at the trade deadline right now. Right now, the Lakers have a lot to offer, and I don't think the Pelicans are going to wait this long until to trade him, when the Lakers right now are supposed to be gearing up for a title run. And I don't see a world, really, where they don't give everything and put it all on this year.
For 5 minutes. So a team in the NBA who we see in the finals almost every year, Golden State. It's been an off year, if you would say, for the Golden State Warriors. 14 losses.
They've won 10 in a row, though.
Yes. So it's been a bumpy road for this team, who started off poorly. Had the controversy with Kevin Durant and Draymond Green not getting along. They've seemed to have figured some stuff out. You said 10 in a row. But do you see a possibility for another team in the West to knock them off before getting to the finals?
Not this year.
What
no.
if Anthony Davis goes to the Lakers?
Anthony Davis to the Lakers is the only way.
It's a possibility,
for that.
but I just don't see anyone beating the Warriors in the West this year, at least, or just period in general. I just don't see anyone beating the Warriors this year.
If the Lakers give up more picks and players to get Anthony Davis, meaning that they still have, say, Ingram and Kuzma on their team, and Anthony Davis and a healthier LeBron James, they could have a shot at the Warriors this year, because those are two guys that are maybe the two best. You can make an argument that Davis and LeBron are the two best players in the NBA. I don't think there's much of an argument against LeBron being the best player in the NBA, but there is certainly an argument for Davis being number two. And I think that if you have those two guys in your team, anything can happen. And you mentioned a down year for the Warriors. I mean, they're first in the West, the Warriors. It isn't much of a down year.
It's a down
It's
year.
the same team that they just got Boogie Cousins back right now, and their death lineup is unstoppable when they roll out all five of their All-Stars. I don't think that anyone's going to stop them right now, but I think that if the Lakers trade more picks and players and get Anthony Davis, then they really do have a shot there against the Warriors.
I mean, these are still exhibition games for the Warriors. Come on, let's be real.
You're not wrong. Out of the three teams in the East that catch my eye here, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Philadelphia 76ers, and probably the Boston Celtics.
Don't forget about
I don't
Toronto either.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can't
Toronto's
sleep on the
legit.
Raptors.
But Toronto has a tough time in the playoffs, sealing the deal. But with no LeBron in the East, there's a possibility. But if we're talking those four teams, so Milwaukee, Toronto, Philly, and Boston, which team do you think could knock off the Golden State Warriors?
I mean, I think we saw it Saturday night. We were watching that Celtics-Warriors game, and obviously Gordon Hayward, not at full strength still, coming off that injury. I think if he gets there by June and the Celtics somehow make the finals, like I said, I don't see anyone beating the Warriors, but I think the full-strength Celtics with Kyrie and Hayward could definitely give Golden State a run for their money.
By the way, quick shout-out to the kid in the back, so the Brooklyn Nets have a chance.
I'm a big Nets fan. We got a shot. Got to send D'Angelo Russell to the All-Star game. Of course, exactly. There we go. Karis LeVert, he's going to be the biggest addition the Nets make at the February deadline. Might not trade for anyone big, not trying to ruin that rebuild yet, but Karis LeVert coming back could be that big addition.
Michigan alum.
I mean, I would love to see the Nets in it. I mean, it's been a while. We haven't had any good New York basketball teams, and I'm a Knicks fan. I relate to the Knicks more than I do with the Nets, but I'm still going to root for the Nets if they're relevant in the playoffs. So I'm definitely there. But the team that I think in the East, I agree. I think it's the Boston Celtics. I think we saw it on Saturday. They're the most talented team in the East from top to bottom. I think Kyrie Irving is borderline unguardable at this point, and he's gonna be a massive difference maker in the postseason.
Yeah, right now, I'm liking the Nets roster right now, just to add to that. But I don't think it's their year right now. They still have a young core right now. I really don't see them doing much. I see them making the playoffs, 6, 7, or 8 seed. But
they're going to add an all-star in the next couple of years. They'll be contenders, I think.
What?
You said the Nets are going to add an all-star in the next couple of years. They'll be contenders.
Yeah, after that.
KD to Brooklyn?
Let's see.
Probably not. But Marco wants the Knicks. So do I.
We all want the Knicks,
I love
buddy.
Kevin
We all do.
Durant. Pair him up with Zion, and we're contending for a championship. So that will do it for part 2 of our Colts Corner podcast, simulcasting on Apple Podcasts and on our YouTube. Just want to thank the guys working over here. Garafa, Keish, thanks for the guest appearance.
Choi, too.
Choi as well.
Big Choi on there.
We'll be doing 2 more shows today. Don't forget to join the film and video class, journalism, newspaper club, all that stuff. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.